think it's so important that you nail these things down while you can, because at the end of the day, like most people don't really take that route. They don't really like take that stuff as seriously as they should. And I think like your long-term health is way more important than your short-time training, your short-time goals. So if you can, like nutrition, mental health, and like physical, like overall, like your symmetry, your tension, all that stuff, that will go a long way.
That was Will Sumner today on the Running Effect podcast. I'm thrilled you've clicked on to this episode because Will is a good one. He always brings a lot of wisdom to our conversations. I had him on the podcast almost 2 years ago, July of 2023, after he won the 800-meter NCAA Championship outdoors in Austin, Texas, running 144.26 just as a freshman. Shortly thereafter, he signed a professional contract with Adidas. And then unfortunately last year, 2024, he had a bunch of setbacks, which he goes really in depth and detail in today's conversation. And I think that will be helpful for anyone out there who's experienced setbacks or is going through one currently. Provides a lot of context on not to just how to get through setbacks physically, but also mentally. And then we recap his 2025, which is off to a crazy start where he won the Millrose Games 600-meter race in a record, running 114.04. We talk about all his ambitions for this year and beyond. If you enjoy this one, share it with a friend, give us a 5-star review, and hit the follow and subscribe button so you never miss another episode. And with all of those notes aside, I hope you all enjoy this conversation with the man, the myth, the legend, Will Sumner. Mr. Will Sumner, welcome back to the Running Effect podcast. How are you doing this afternoon?
Thanks. I'm good. How are you?
Doing really good. Diving right into things, man. I think 2023 was your breakout year. It was like, hey, everyone, I'm Will Sumner. I'm coming for it all. I'm Mr. 144 as a freshman. I'm going to turn pro out of college as a freshman. 2024, struggled with injuries, setbacks. How would you describe 2025 for you? What's your mindset at?
To me, it's just like get that real rookie year out of the way, because last year I wouldn't even count because I didn't really do anything. So I just want to really like solidify what I want to do and just go out there and have a good year as a pro. You know what I mean?
Is it ever crazy to you? Do you ever think like, oh, if I was still in college, I would be a junior? Like, and
Yeah.
Is it ever hard to give yourself grace to be like, there's time. I don't have to win a gold medal right away as a professional. Like, I got a long career ahead of me.
I think it's important to remind yourself like how young you are when you turn pro at a young age. Because like juniors in college, yeah, they're expected to be near the top of the NCAA, but it's like the top of the NCAA isn't the top of the world at the end of the day. So it's like you got to be like, all right, like, where should I be? And like you just want to keep progressing is really all it is. Like you're given time. You know what I mean? Like you turn pro because you want to have like a long trajectory, a long career trajectory. So you want to make sure that just each year you're incrementally getting better.
Let's talk about some of the setbacks last year. Take me through some of them and how much harder do you feel like it was right after turning professional and kind of being on the high of winning an NCAA title in the fashion that you did?
Yeah, I mean, that race, like the NCAA race, I feel like showed what I was capable of, but also like what my potential was. And so I expected, like I wanted to just keep going with it. I wanted to keep rolling and come into 2024 and just light it up. And that just wasn't meant to be. Like there were obviously like dealing with the Achilles injury. It was something that like I had already kind of dealt with in college. Like it was something that was already there in college, but it was managed well. And so I didn't really anticipate that it would actually be a big deal as a pro. And like I took a lot of time off between my last race in 2023 and then, when I started training up again, it was like, 5-6 weeks. And so like in my mind, I was like, oh, like, this thing's going to be fine. Like it wasn't bad to begin with. I just thought it was like another ache, another pain that you deal with as a runner. And so like I didn't do any like extra work to get that looked at because like I said, I just didn't think I needed to. And it was fine. My first, I would say like 2-3 months of training as a pro, like between September and November, like I think I only missed one workout because of it. And that was just precautionary. so it was like I said, I wasn't concerned whatsoever. And then like I was just maintaining my usual rehab and all that. And then I want to say it was like late December where things like really got bad. And I remember that I was like supposed to be doing 200 repeats, like mile pace or something. And then like 6 reps in or something, I couldn't run. And so I'm like, this is weird. Like this hasn't happened in, it had been over a year since like I had to like just like pull out mid workout. Um, other like the only times I'd really stop before were like I'd like pulled out before the workout had even begun because it was just like not worth running on it in that day. And so like this time I was like, huh, this is strange. And so um I just kept going and like we're like, all right, like let's figure this out. And every time I tried to run, it was the same thing. It's like a couple reps in, I'm just like super painful. Like the Achilles is just lit up, and we're like, all right, like what do we do? So, we start searching. We're like, all right, it's January at this point. Like I was supposed to open up in January, and now I haven't even run in like, who knows? Like I've only run like once or twice in the last few weeks, and so we're like, all right, like we'll consult a podiatrist. We'll see like what does he think? And he's like, it's just tendonitis. Like, take 6 weeks off and you'll be fine. It's like, well, I can't take 6 weeks off. Like, I'm trying to make the world team indoors, so like, that's not an option. Um, and so like, basically, we went through this cycle where it's like, we work out and then I can't run for 3 days. We work out, I can't run for 3 days, and then so then we got to the point where like, all right, this is not sustainable. Like, I'm not gonna get fit off this. So we talked to a doctor, and he's like, all right, so we're going to go with PRP. So that's platelet rich plasma. You just basically inject it into the Achilles. And um, he's like, yeah, like this will get you back. Like we'll need 2 of these, 3 maximum, and you'll be back. And so I think I got my first one in maybe late February, or maybe like, sometime in February I got it. Uh, Excruciating, first of all, like most painful thing I've ever been through, because like you don't go to sleep during it. Like they just like do a little numbing medicine,
Ugh.
and then they literally are injecting this like massive needle, like probably like this long, straight into your Achilles and like shooting blood into it. Not fun. And yeah, so I'm like, all right, I was fully on board. And so I would do that, and then like, you know, take time off, and then kind of like ease into Alter G running, and then go right back to the PRP, like, a couple weeks later. So it was like a cycle where I would just do that. And then after the second one, we're like, all right, we'll need to do a third. And each time we would just like kind of, scope it out, be like, all right, how is it healing? Like, what does it look like? And it wasn't really showing like that much progress, like maybe a little bit. And by the time we got the third one done, we're like, all right, like this is the third one. It should be, on its way to healing. But I guess like so I think I got my last one maybe like early April, I want to say. Um, yeah, I think early April. And at this point, it's like everyone's already running really fast. And like I've only run a handful of times in the last couple months, and it's mostly been on the Alter G. So I'm still training. I'm like, trying to do what I can. So I basically were like, all right, we have, how many weeks until we're going to try to race. I think it was maybe we were going to do like 7 or 8 weeks of like semi-consistent training, and then we had an altitude camp in Albuquerque. So it was like, I would say, 7 or 8 weeks of training, and then we went there, and that was kind of like the first time where I like started to feel fit again, right? Like we're like, all right, we're fit, but the Achilles still hurt. Like it was one of those things. Anytime I ran fast, it would hurt, and I like could barely walk for the rest of the day. But like in Albuquerque, I was like feeling like I was like almost at the crest of it, like almost on the other end. And then I would say like there was this one workout. We were supposed to do like 2x4x250, like at 30, 31 or something like that. And I remember like I was starting to like come down with something that day. So I only did 3 reps of each set. And my Achilles was also like super flared up that day. And then next day I was done. Like I got the flu. Like I just, and whatever it was, like, cause so I was like in hindsight, I looked up, like, I'm like, like, does the flu cause anything? And basically like what the flu does is, one, obviously like you're getting all that inflammation, but like it actually tends to tighten up your muscles, like especially in the calves. And anyone who knows anything about the Achilles is that's like the worst thing for you. So um that just like felt like it reset me. Like from that day on, it almost was like I was back to ground zero. Like it hurt way more than it had. Like like I said, I felt like I was healing, and then the flu hit me, and I'm like, back to square one. So I come home early from Albuquerque. I'm like recovering from the flu, and like I have asthma, so it's like the flu really wrecks me. Like I'm out for a week minimum, and the Achilles is not getting better. So at this point, we're like, all right, what do we do? What do we do? Like, do we shut it down? And I didn't want to give up, but at the same time, it's like we got to be realistic. So we gave it like 2 weeks, and I think I like tried a race maybe at the first week of July, and like 200 meters in, I was like running, and I'm like this Achilles is not working. Like this, like I can't run like this. You know what I mean? So, and I was like talking to a family and like my agent and all that, and they're like it's not worth it. We'll just shut it down. And so yeah, that was that. That's kind of where it left me at the end of 2024. Like, so like the entire year is like, here's a solution, it'll work, and then it like sort of works, and then it's like, but not quite. Um, and then yeah, that so I was like at that point I was like, like super frustrated. Obviously, it's one of those things where, because like I was like trying to be hopeful the whole time, but like I also was like realistic in the sense that it didn't feel like it was getting much better until like after that third PRP. Like I felt like maybe it was getting better. Um, so yeah, it was. Yeah, and then obviously the flu wrecked the whole situation. Um, and then
Well,
yeah,
we're
so
glad
then
you're on the other side of it. It's
yeah,
big.
well, yeah. So now we have to get into like the real recovery aspect. So I was like I said, June wasn't getting better. So we're like, all right, we're not going to run for a while. And I start getting these other treatments. So I was doing like soft wave, which is these they're basically like these sound waves that like I guess like high frequency sound waves that they like shoot into your tendon, and those are supposed to like heal it. And again, I wasn't really getting the response that I needed. Like the Achilles still hurt all the time, like walking, and I, like I said, I wasn't running. So then it's like, all right, what do we do? Like I keep trying these things and they're not working. So um, I my parents went to school with, and they have a friend, Terrence Mahan. He's my current coach. Basically, like he reached out or they reached out. I don't remember who reached out first, but he's like just analyzing my running, my form, and all this stuff. And he's like, all right, this is what's wrong. And like we're like talking to him because I was seeing a new physical therapist at this time, and he's like what you're doing at PT is not going to work because you're not able to do like XYZ. It's like you need to be able to do XYZ before you can start this. And um, I can get in depth with that if you want me to. That's up to you. But um, basically, like he wanted to direct me like in the right way, and like he wasn't even trying to necessarily be my coach. He was literally just like I know why all these things aren't working, and I know how to like get your body to heal itself. Um, and so like he came down like kind of late in the summer, and he just like flew out, and him and then Dan Paff, he's like the legendary sprint coach, like that. Basically, the two of them just like analyze me moving, and like literally I could just walk and they'd be like, this is wrong and this is how we're going to fix it. And so basically what it was like just teaching, one, my body, but like two, my brain. Like I had to like turn my brain into like I need to allow my brain to control my body. And so like basically my body was doing all these things wrong, which was causing my Achilles to hurt. And yeah, it was like I just took their advice. I did all the stuff that they told me for like 2 or 3 months, and then bam, I'm back. Like, and the Achilles like started healing actually, which was crazy.
How
Yes.
exhausting was all of that process that you took me through?
Um, Gosh, I mean, I'm exhausted just talking about it. But yeah, it was really, it's just so frustrating. I mean, like I had high hopes for last year. Like it's the Olympic year. Like I feel like there were expectations on me. I had expectations on myself. And so for it to be like this like up and down journey of like, oh, you're getting better, or this is gonna work, and then it's like, no, it doesn't. And then like this will work and then it doesn't, and this will work and then it doesn't. To the like for it to finally come to the point where it's like we have a clear plan and then we just gotta do it, like that was what I needed. So like for Terrence and Dan to help me, like just be like, hey, like this will work. You just have to trust it. And I was skeptical. Like I'll be completely honest. Like the stuff they were telling me, I'm like, like if all this stuff that these doctors and PTs were saying didn't work, then like how is your stuff gonna work? Because you're like neither of them even have like they're not like doing this professionally. Like they're just coaches. So yeah, but they're right. Like your body is it's like this machine. You have to like fine tune it. You can't just like let things be uneven. You can't let there be tension in one side and not the other. Like so yeah, like to have them point that out to me and give me a clear picture, like I feel like was just so relieving, and it took a lot off me. Like all I had to do was like follow their instructions and just like trust them. And yeah, so it made that way better. But to begin with, it was like super frustrating.
After what was probably the hardest season, the hardest year of your career at any stage, ultimately this year, Millrose Games, you set the 600-meter record. You run 114.04. What did that race mean to you? And how much of a feeling of I'm back was that race to you?
Yeah, I mean, that race, like it just meant so much to me because like I've been gunning for that 600. Well, I've been gunning for the 600 world record for a while. Like I'm like after I ran the high school record, that kind of became like, all right, if I got the high school record, I should go for the world record at some point. And so like I saw that as my opportunity to go for that. I didn't get it, but I also didn't really like have that much training leading up to it. Like I didn't, because of the injury and stuff. So um like I just wanted to go in there and like see what I could do and like prove to myself that I'm like, you know, just the same guy that I was, 2 years ago. So especially against a really loaded field like that. And yeah, like I wanted to surprise myself. So like that's why I was like, I'm just gonna go on 47 and just see what I got the last lap. And it worked, but yeah, it was just like I just felt like it was something that I felt like I had to do. You know what I mean? Like I feel like every year there's like one or two races where like I need to do this. Like there's something like you have to prove to yourself, and to me that like proved to myself that I belong. So it was meaningful.
How healthy are you right now? And what's the current trajectory of Will Sumner? And how do you feel about that trajectory?
Yeah, I mean I'm healthy as I can be. Like it's one of those things now that I understand like how injuries happen. Like it's more than just like doing too much or like not doing enough strength work or whatever. Like it's you got to keep your body, like I said, like symmetrical, and you got to keep the tension out. So yeah, like I feel like because of that I'm able to maintain myself. I'm able to train at full capacity, like really like indoor was kind of just like how can you handle a season, and then now that like we're like, all right, my body can handle the season now, it's like really time to ramp it up. So I'm hoping, we can do some big things this season. But at the end of the day, like as I said at the beginning, I just want to get out and have a good season. Like that's the most important thing to me.
You kind of just shared your mindset there, but I guess maybe going a little deeper into it. Where's your mindset at with this 2025 season? And you kind of mentioned earlier, like if this is kind of your real rookie year, what are some things, you want to accomplish and just things on your heart and mind? And it doesn't even have to be an outcome, but even a feeling like you said of like having fun, competing.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, the big thing for me is like set my career up for the long term, and to me the biggest thing would be get that 400 and that 200 down as much as possible. Like I haven't really spent a whole lot of time on either of those events since high school. Like high school, I ran the 4 and the 2 almost every meet. Like I barely ran anything other than the 4 and the 2, and so like I was consistently running 21 and like 46 and then 45, and I kind of like ignored that in college because I didn't really have much of a choice. But now like that I can just pick my meets and race what I want and train how I want, like I can really get those things down. Cause like I was this like underdeveloped like little kid in high school. Like I was 150 pounds. Like I weigh 20 more pounds. I'm like an inch or two taller. So like I'm way more powerful now than I was back then. And so I just feel like now that my body's actually able to handle all that, now I can like transfer that into like the real times that I want to run. So if I can like really get that down, then I feel like that sets me up long term for the 8. Because at the end of the day, like I say this every time, like I just can't, I'm never going to be as aerobically fit as most of these other guys. Like that's just like physiologically, that's just not who I am. But what I have is the speed to get out faster than most of these guys can, and so that's what I want to just sharpen up. So like right now, if I can improve and set myself up for the long term, then that's better than going all in on the 8 right now, and then not optimizing my speed while I'm still like young and have the ability to make those adaptations.
Talking about the speedier stuff, at what distance would it be competitive with Noah Lyles? How low?
I think 4 would be good because like so he split
You're
40.
taking a 4.
Well, wait, what was that?
I said you're taking a 4. Come on.
You think? I
Yeah.
mean, like, okay, so he split 45 indoors at Worlds last year. Like, but I don't know what he run out of the blocks. He'd get out on me. You know what I mean? Like, I have to walk him down. But I don't think I'd come close in the 300. Like, he's running 30 point, and I'll run
Sure.
like probably like 32 high at the best outdoors. So I don't know. I think like
375 is the money distance.
375 might be good. That'd be a good race. That'd be a good race. But we'll see. We'll see. Like right now, I think he'd smoke me in a 4.
Both Adidas sponsored athletes. Have you had the chance to meet him or other people in relation to the brand who like you wouldn't necessarily cross over with because of different distances and disciplines?
Yeah. I saw Noah at Hayward in 2023. Like after I think it was like after the finals in the 800. He was like up in the booth. My parents were there like watching, and he just said like good job to me. But that's like I think that's the only time we've really crossed paths. I don't know. I mean, I feel like most of the people that I interact with are like 400, 800, 1500 people. Like I talk to Hobbs at meets quite a bit just because we're like kind of the same age. Like
Yeah, love
I
Hobbs.
just feel like it's like one of those things. Like we kind of like are in that same boat of like turn pro early. We're both young. Um, but yeah, not really like too many people out of my event group. I also just don't. I'm not that like outgoing. You know what I mean? Like I just don't really talk to
Sure,
people
you stick to your
unless
business.
yeah, like it's just because I feel so young still. It's like my first real year, so it's like I don't I don't know. Like yeah, I belong, but I don't know. I don't know anyone. You know what I mean?
Sure, totally. To those listening, you mentioned the kind of whole string of setbacks and challenges. What would you say to someone currently listening who's going through a setback, and what advice would you give them to get through this tough and challenging period?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is you have to understand why you're having that setback to begin with. And and a lot of times like that takes a lot of introspection. Like you have to like whether it's like a mental setback or a physical setback, you have to like understand like deep down like what's going on. So like say you're facing like a mental block, then like, you have to be completely honest with yourself. And a lot of that is like letting go of your pride and your ego and like being like, hey, like I'm not perfect. Like this needs to change. And like same thing with my injury. Like I always thought that my mechanics were fine and I'm like, who cares? Like I don't need to work on that. And then next thing you know, my mechanics made me get hurt. And so you have to be vulnerable in that way of like, hey, like I can improve. And just need to be able to like look, hey, this is where I can improve and this is what needs to improve. And these are the steps that I can take to do that. And like you can kind of follow that pathway with anything in life. So I think, just being able to self-reflect is super important. And then also like having people around you who can support you, who, whether it's like a physical issue that you're having or a mental issue, like surrounding yourself with people who are conducive to you getting better is always like super, super helpful.
They say you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and I think it's so true. Like who you surround yourself with is who you'll become ultimately
Oh,
one day.
totally. 100%.
Speaking to specifically, we have all sorts of listeners, but predominantly younger listeners. We're in that period kind of between indoors and outdoors, unless you made the national meet at like New Balance or Nike indoors. Of course, if you're out there listening, like you're going to want to have the best outdoor season of your life. As someone who did it at the high school and collegiate level, had really good outdoor seasons consistently, what would be the I don't know, 3 biggest ways? It doesn't have to be 3, but off the top of your head, biggest ways someone can make this outdoor season the best year of their life?
I think this is actually really important. You have to you have to mind the time between indoor and outdoor. Like some people want to just like jump straight into it and like like continue whatever they started indoor and keep going up. But like take your time because so like for me indoor in my senior year, like I went straight into outdoor and like immediately I like tweaked my hamstring because I needed the rest and I needed to like take time to recover and I didn't. So that's the most important thing I'd say is like make sure you're taking care of yourself, giving yourself the time you need because outdoor season's long. You can, I mean, even in high school, like if you're running U20s, like you're running until like August. So you you really need to like just make sure that you're thinking long term about yourself and like, hey, yeah, there's this race in March that I want to run, but like, do I need to? All right, obviously, like high school programs will kind of make you run at that time, but like at the end of the day, you could talk to your coach and be like, "Hey, coach, like I think I just need to take a little downtime." I feel like they're going to be generally pretty understanding about that. Like if you just had a long season, so you just want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, taking care of your nutrition, taking care of your sleep, and then set yourself up good for outdoor.
What was the craziest like dual meet, or like what was the craziest amount of events you ever had to do at a dual meet or like an invitational?
Okay, so in my senior year, I did the 100, 200, 400, 4x400 quadruple. So
Oh
and
gosh.
this was for county. So basically, we have this 8-lane track. It's like kind of like right near my high school, and there's like super strong headwind every single year. Like I'm talking like 20 mile per hour headwind every single year. So like we we run the 100 straight into this like 20 mile per hour wind, and then I have to run the 200, and I remember like I think the home straight like I was barely even running. Like I had to have run like 11 high or like sorry like I had to have run like 11.5 or something through the first 100 and then like just ran like the slowest final 100 I've ever run in the two because like the wind was so strong. And then in the 400 I because of the wind, like I said, like I didn't even use blocks. Like I didn't even care. I'm just gonna standing start this. And then 4 by 4, it's like everything you got at the end of the meet. So yeah, that was, I don't know, that was really fun though. Just cause like no pressure, like just, and that was, I think that was actually my first race after indoor, which was probably a bad idea. Like I just talked about, like that's probably why I got hurt the next week, because I did 4 events. So yeah, it was
4 dubs.
4 dubs. Yeah, I did
Let's
win
go,
all
baby.
4.
Let's go. Do you ever miss those high school days where like that is the most stereotypical example? County, your school probably cares too much about being like the conference champ, and they're gonna throw their best guy, their once in a generational talent, in 4 events. And for you, you're probably not even caring or thinking about times. It's just like, how can I get 40 points for my team? Do you ever miss those days, like less pressure?
I mean, I got to be honest, like those are the most fun moments of high school, but like I was willingly doing that. That's the thing. Like I was choosing to max out at those events cuz it was like my only time to run the 100. So, I was like, yeah, let's just do it. And yeah, like the whole team, I think we just like all did as many events as we could. And we like always hang out after the meets. I'm sure you did the same thing. Like it's such a fun time.
Always a good time. Always a good time. Bringing us kind of back to current subjects, closing out this conversation here soon. The men's 800 in the U.S. is really closing the gap on the rest of the world. I just talked to Josh Hoey, and he had a really strong line. He was like, people in Europe, I think they sleep on the Americans, and if they continue to do so, they'll be in for a rude awakening, which I thought was a bar. What's your thought on the state of the U.S. men's 800, and how competitive do you think it'll be to make a team this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's doing amazing, and I think that's really good because when one person elevates, I feel like it forces everyone else to kind of elevate with them. So yeah, I think it's awesome. Like seeing Bryce ran 141 last year, Josh is running 143. I'm guessing he'll probably run 142, 141 soon. Who knows? I mean, the sky's the limit with him. And Hobbs and and Brandon and Isaiah and like all these people, both Isaiahs. Um, Gosh, there's so many people, like more names than I can even remember, and it's crazy because I feel like like historically the U.S. kind of gets beaten down at the world level. Like other than Brazier in 2019, like I feel like we typically don't have U.S. people like win the 800. So yeah, it's awesome. I think we're gonna see hopefully a new era of U.S. middle distance. I mean, the 1500s doing the same thing, like the 3K, 5K. Like we're all kind of getting better all at the same time. So I kind of hope to like insert myself into that conversation too. But yeah, it's gonna be tough. I mean, this U.S. team that used to be, I feel like fairly on the soft end, is now probably like going to be one of the better teams that the U.S. fields.
How much does that excite you to be a part of this era and hopefully contribute to it super soon?
I mean, it's awesome because, like I said, like it's history in the making, and we're all elevating each other. I can't really say we yet because I haven't really like done anything, but
Soon.
hopefully. Um, but yeah, it's awesome. I'm excited to get going, and like I said, when the time comes to run the 8, like let's do it.
What's next on your calendar? What's on your mind these days?
I mean, like I said, it's like trying to get the 2-4 working. Like I'm really like this week is like the first actual week of like real speed that I've done, because like all the speed before has been fairly limited just because one, the injury, and two, the cold. Like it's literally too cold to run fast. So like now we're finally getting into that weather and getting able to train. So if I can just get some 4s in, and who knows, maybe an open 2 at some point at like a smaller meet. Yeah, like that's kind of what I'm looking at, and then we'll transition to the 8 when the time comes.
How much block practice are we doing these days, or would you do before like a 2 or a 4?
Yeah, so the only time I use the blocks at least is like at indoor meets, because those are also like at an indoor track, but I have to drive like 2 hours to use an indoor track, so I only do it very seldom. Um, so not often. I do it maybe like at pre-meet, and maybe the rare time that I actually go to an indoor track. So now that it's warm and I can actually sprint in practice, like really, I think hopefully I'll get some blocks in at least every couple weeks. But at the end of the day, my blocks suck, and they're probably always going to suck. Like like how good can I really get at the blocks? So if I can get like incrementally better, that's cool. But it's one of those things. Like I just need to get the second half of my race like as good as it can be.
Fair. So fair. Well, I know you can only run and train and practice so hard throughout the day. What are you filling up your hours in your day with these days outside of training?
I mean, a lot of it is just like chilling. Like I don't really do a whole lot. Like lately, I've been either like just like on my computer. I don't even play games anymore. But like I'll just like watch YouTube or like I don't even know. Like I also like Legos. Like if you can see, like I got my Lego right there,
Let's go.
my ornithopter from Dune. Um,
How long
it's
did
like
that take to put together?
I think that was like 2 days, 2 or 3 days.
Okay.
So like I like Legos. Shoot, sometimes I'll just read a book or whatever. But I don't know, like sometimes like I'm literally up, go straight to practice, go straight to the gym, and then like at that point my day's basically over. Like then I'm
Mm-hmm.
cooking, eat dinner, and then I go to sleep. So like there are days where I don't really have like that much time to do anything, but I don't know. It's like
What is like a what does like an easy day or like recovery day look like for more the like 4-8 type? Because I feel like for like the 8-15, they're like actual like easy runs distance. What does that look like for you?
yeah, I'll just hop on the bike for a little bit. So I have a road bike, but right now it's hooked up to my trainer and I'll just get on there and spin the legs out for 20, 30 minutes. But other than that, not much. I feel like when I go for runs, it honestly like cooks me for the next day because like biomechanically, like it's just so different from what I'm used to that I almost like can't really do it without beating myself up more than necessary. You know what I mean? Which is like kind of crazy to think about. But yeah, so that's kind of it. Or sometimes I like to just like either walk or a lot of times those days are just like PT or like I'll just go like PT in the morning like or afternoon or like get a massage or both. Um yeah, I mean, kind of just gotta monitor like making sure you're not sitting all day because then you get like super tight and the next day you're not able to like actually produce the effort that you need to.
Will, final serious question for you. For those who have listened to our conversation today, look up to you, all the things you've accomplished. What would be the final takeaway message that you want to leave with the audience?
Yeah. I just I think the biggest thing, it's kind of like I talked about, is like being able to confront yourself and like understand things that you can improve on and things that you you feel like maybe like you're good in an area, but like it's okay to like open up and be like, hey, like I can improve here. For me, it's there are like mental things and then there were physical things, and I think like long term, if you can figure those things out, the mental things and the physical things, the things that are going wrong for you, or maybe they haven't actually like shown that they're problems yet, but they might be down the road. I think it's always important to address those. So, whether you need to like consult someone like, a sports psychologist, or if you have to like consult like a physical therapist, I think, or like a biomechanics analyst, like things like that can be really helpful just long term. Like if you want to do this sport for a long time, I think it's so important that you nail these things down while you can, because at the end of the day, like most people don't, I feel like don't really take that route. They don't really like take that stuff as seriously as they should. And I think like your long-term health is way more important than your short-time training, your short-time goals. So if you can, like nutrition, mental health, and like physical, like overall, like your symmetry, your tension, all that stuff, that will go a long way.
It's the money right there. The little things, they always add up.
Yep.
Will, always appreciate you taking the time. Final question for you on a lighter note. You mentioned I'm going to be honest, I didn't see Dune, so whatever that thing was called behind you, the massive helicopter. I also see, viewers on YouTube will also see it looks like a little Hot Wheels collection. What are you cooking with?
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
the favorite car?
So I got a lot of cars up here. Honestly, I might have more over here too. I'd say I actually like Formula One, and I like the LMP cars too. Like I don't really watch Formula One a lot or like watch the car racing. I just think the cars look cool. Like I even have like the Lego ones right here. It's like my favorite one. Um,
Sick.
that's like the LMP cars. But yeah, so I just collect all these stuff because I don't know, it's just fun. Like I'm still a little kid at heart, so it's like pretty fun for me. I just like to make I just like to make my room, or this is my room, my office, look how I want it.
You ever have like those Hot Wheels like tracks growing up that you would like race specific cars against each other? That
Yeah,
took
I
so
would.
many years of my childhood with my brothers. We'd race cars all day, all day.
Yeah, my friends and I would love to make those tracks and stuff. And, like we'd set up like little courses and whatnot. But yeah, it's so fun. Like back at my parents' house, I probably have like 100 plus Hot Wheels. Like it's insane.
Those are
But
the glory days, man.
yeah, yeah. What about you? What car do you like? What's your favorite car?
A car in life, I can't say I have any Hot Wheels in my home at the moment. Car in life, I'm a Porsche guy, which
Really?
Georgia. So there you
Yeah.
go. Their headquarters is in Atlanta. My dream is like a Porsche as like my like fun car, and then I really love G wagons as well.
Okay.
Another Georgia company.
What kind of Porsche? Like a GT3 or?
Yeah, I'll probably butcher the name of it, but like GT3 RS or like the 911s are sick.
Yeah, yeah,
I just feel like I see Instagram reels of like Porsche highlights, and I'm like, this just is
yeah.
sick.
Those
Because
are cool.
Porsches are cool, where like they're casual enough, but they're still like a luxury car. Like it makes sense to drive on American roads. Like a Lamborghini or like a Bugatti is like so excessive and not actually made for like that's like go race on a racetrack, but
Right.
I never will do that. So I think Porsche is like the dream car in the sense of like you can actually drive it in your day to day and it like makes sense. Whereas like a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, it's like this really doesn't. This really isn't a good like everyday car.
Right. I mean,
Like
you literally
so
can't even like fit into them. Like they're so
no,
like they're literally just race cars. And the cool thing
literally.
is if you come to Atlanta and you have a Porsche, they have the track that you can take the car on too.
That's what I've heard.
So like,
That's what I've heard.
because Porsches can be track cars. I mean,
Mhm.
those things like they're fast.
Yeah, they move. My dream is like collaboration with Porsche and like I don't know, hosting some event or doing some sort of content on that track, like racing a 5K, like seeing
That,
how fast you can run, or like
that would be cool. You
well,
could
I think you
totally
could
you could
like if
totally
you
do that.
yeah, I feel like if you talk to the right person, you could pitch it well. Or like even you,
Yeah.
it's like Will Sumner, like stud. How fast? How many seconds can he beat? How many seconds head start in a 100-meter dash can he like beat a Porsche 911 on the
I
Porsche
would
track?
I
Like
would do that collab.
dude, that's the type of content that would crush on social media too. Like
And
I would watch that thing. Like
maybe they give me a Porsche too. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
no, I'm just kidding.
Executives of Porsche listening, hit us up. Hit us up. We'll shoot it. We'll film it.
Yeah.
What about you? What's the dream car? Final question. In person, not
So
Hot Wheels.
yeah. I would say like shoot. I like the Supras, the Toyota Supras. Like I know, real like car people would say like the old Supra, but I actually really like the new one because I don't know, there's just something about it. It just looks so cool. And the only issue is it's really just like a BMW Z4 with like made by like with a Toyota body basically. So like it's not really a Toyota, but it's cool. I like it.
Dude, Toyota sponsors Gabby Thomas. Crazier things have happened. So
And yeah, Michael Norman I think also has Toyota
yeah, him
sponsors.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean,
Dang.
I'm not gonna
Big
lie, I
things on the
DM'd them
horizon.
like 3 years ago. I was like, hey, can I get the Team Toyota
Hit
deal?
me up.
And
Hey,
I don't know
next
why I did that
podcast.
because like
Next podcast, you're gonna be like a 142 guy. You're gonna make a world team. Toyota's gonna sponsor you, and the next podcast we do is gonna be in your Supra. Heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
that would be the dream. But for now, I'm gonna keep driving my Honda because I'm not that guy yet. I don't have the
Hey,
deal yet.
shout out Honda. Shout out Honda. My editor will love this because he glazes Honda to the nines because his dad works for Honda. So
Yeah, I mean
we end
they're
up on
good
a
cars.
positive note.
Those things will run forever.
That's what he always says. So
It's true.
I don't want
It's
to hear
true.
it. Well, I don't want
No,
to
it's
hear it.
actually true.
This is Honda coping right now.
No, like you can't get a Honda, and then if you get a Honda, you're gonna have it for at least like 10 years. Like you're gonna sell it because you outgrew the car, not because it broke.
Fair. You'd be a good Honda spokesperson. They can sponsor
I'm
you
just
before
saying.
Toyota.
Although when I get my Toyota deal, they're not gonna like that I said that. So maybe we need to scrub that from the footage.
Yeah, sure. When you'll text me, you'll be like, "Hey, I'm negotiating. Can you delete that episode?" Like,
Yeah.
well, man, appreciate it. Always a fun time chopping it up with you, both on the serious subjects, the light subjects. Excited for a little comeback, little redemption tour, but also so young, man. So much life ahead. So have fun with it. Keep crushing it, and always on your side, brother.
Yeah. Thank you. Keep crushing it yourself.